Hello everyone, today I'm going to be doing a how-to on 19th Nervous Breakdown, which I think is very fitting because I just did one on As Tears Go By, which is the B-side to 19th Nervous Breakdown, which was a big hit in like '66 for the Stones. So this is, still a very popular song. You might even hear it on like classic rock radio. It's like the quintessential example of Brian Jones and Keith Richards working together to make just a beautiful rhythm. So I'll show you both parts of that. The actual song is real simple. There's only 3 chords, E, A, and B, but the way they're played, the way each part comes together is what really gives the song its distinctive sound. So I'll show you Keith's part first, and then as we're going along I'll also show you Brian's, which I think is a little easier. But the song starts off like this. And all that is there is you bar with your index finger the 9th fret, starting with the D string and going down. You really don't have to, you're really not playing the E string here, so it's really just the most important of these 3 strings. And then with your 2nd finger you press down on the 10th fret of the B string, and then with your 3rd finger you press down on the 11th fret of the G string. So, and you play these together, so that's what you should be hearing. But you start off with just play the D string once, and then you play the G and the B strings twice, and then pull off to that bar. So, and then you play the D string twice. And so you can either just do, or you can do a little bit of a, just a light right before you go. So all you would be doing there is just playing the barred notes right there, the G and the B, and then hammering these on, playing that, and then pulling off. So. And then you go into the actual verse. So in the intro, Brian's not playing anything, that's all just Keith. But in the verse, that's when Brian comes in, but we'll get to that in a second. So then Keith starts playing the E chord. It's what it starts off with. And instead of just playing, down here or just the bar chord, like I've seen some tutorials just say, oh, you're just doing the bar chord and going, That's close, but that's not actually what he's doing. You can see in some of these videos, and if you listen real closely, you can hear it too. It's he's got this barred right here, so like you typically would for an E bar chord, on the 7th fret here, with your index finger, and then he does it with these 2 fingers. I think it's easier to do it with my 3rd and 4th fingers to press down like a power chord almost with the on the D and the G string on the 9th fret, and then he goes. You can watch the videos and see that's what he's doing. You can listen, that's exactly what he's doing there. And then he goes after that into the second part of the verse where they play the A chord, and that's also a bar chord, but they don't play it like this. He plays it like this with your thumb on the 5th fret of the E string here, and then kind of like, I don't know, just when you play F or whatever, with your index finger here on these 2 strings, and then on the 6th fret of the G string you have your middle finger, and then your ring finger on the 7th fret of the D string, and then you can have this one open, I guess, if you want a fuller sound, but and then you get that by kind of pressing on and off to that pattern with your left hand. Alright, so we got And so that's the first verse, and Well, that's how all the verses will go, and then you finish it off with you come down here, and you're playing a, well, it's supposed to be a B chord if you're just doing the regular chord, but he does that kind of same riff as you had in the beginning where it goes. So you got your index finger barring on the 4th fret, just like you did in the beginning, and then your 2nd finger on the 5th fret of the B string, and your 3rd finger on the 6th fret of the G string, and you're doing that same pattern. And so you do that after the verse, and then this is the part where it's not Keith or Brian really. I mean, I think it's probably Keith that's playing it, but this is kind of cut in afterwards. It's overdubbed in, and it's with a highly overdriven guitar, but they still play it live, just going like this. So that's what they're doing. If you want to get it exactly like the recording, I guess you have to have like an effects pedal or something, but you can still get kind of the right sound just by playing it with your normal guitar. So you go on the D string, and you're on the 9th fret, and you slide it up to the 11th, and then you go to the G string and press on the 9th fret and slide it down to the 7th, and you want to kind of have a little bit of a vibrato on that. So and so that's how most of the verses will end, with that kind of riff as well. And then you go into the chorus, which is pretty easy. But before I do that, I'll go into Brian's part for the verses. So what he's doing is I think Keith wrote this, but Brian plays it. They stole a Bo Diddley riff, so it goes something like this. So every chord he plays that exact same pattern where it goes the open string, so the root note, and then the octave here, which is the 2nd fret on D. Then he plays A, which is also 2nd fret. So then you go back up to the D string, then back to A. Oh, I'm sorry. Then you go back to E, and then you do D twice, and then back to A, then back to D again. So and then you go to for the A chord, you do the same thing, but you're just in the power chord formation for an A. So 1st finger on the 5th fret of the E string, and then your other fingers are pressing down on the 7th fret of the A and the D. So and then you go up to the B, and then at the end you slide back down to the A, and that's when you have the. So that's Brian's part. It's a little simpler. It's basically the only pattern he plays the entire song, so anytime there's a chord, with a few exceptions, he's just playing along with that rhythm. So for the chorus, Keith is doing the same pattern here. It starts off with the E. Super simple. So it just goes E to A, then back to E again. Brian, when he's playing this, he doesn't play the first E. He's just doing, I mean, in live recordings he does, but on the actual recording he doesn't. He just sits there, and then when the A chord comes in, he joins back in, which I guess he plays it up here. And then after the first chorus, you just have one bar of Brian doing this. And then you go back into verse 2, where it's the same exact thing. back down to here. So you play that a second time, then you play the chorus again. So the second chorus is the same as the first, and after the second chorus you immediately go into the bridge. So I'll just play the second chorus and then I'll play the bridge and just show you how it goes. So, bridge is probably the trickiest part from Keith's perspective. So for that one, you're doing the same kind of fingering pattern as you are for the A chord, but just sliding it up to the B. So you're playing that strumming pattern. And then similar with the E chord. And then on the end, I like adding in the full bar chord where I get this note right here. So. And then you go down here to, it goes A, then B, and then you go back to E. But doing that same pattern we've been doing, but this time it's down at the second fret. Okay, for Brian's part, he does something a little bit different. It starts off the same, where he plays that B chord like, and then he goes down to the E. And then as soon as you go to the A, where Keith is going, Brian goes, so he goes from the E. So he plays that A. And then after that, Keith goes up to here and goes. So then Brian goes, which is just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 on the A, and then moving up to the B. And then when Keith goes back up to the E, that's when Brian goes 1, 2. So he just goes with the 1, 2, and then goes back to his familiar pattern. So it goes. So I'll run through the song, and you can kind of get a feel for how it goes and the order of it. I recommend just kind of practicing each piece and then trying to put it together as you can. But. Alright, and there's a couple more verses and stuff, but I'm going to stop with Keith's part of it. Alright, so I'll play Brian's part right here. I'll just go verse, chorus, bridge, because it's kind of boring to go through the entire thing on his part because it's very repetitive, but you'll get the idea here. So here we go. And remember, that first E chord he doesn't play, and then he comes in on the A chord. And then it comes to the bridge. Alright, so I hope that's useful for you. I hope you can review that, each individual part, and practice it and bring it together and make it sound good. It's a real fun song to play no matter which part you're playing. And you know, if you get really good at it, you can kind of string both the parts together, because there's some times where, you know, you may just want to vary it up, or, you know, whatever. But I hope you enjoy playing this as much as I do. It's a great song.